Rightio. Hi, Paul. I'll start in a minute. Excuse me. Oh boy, it's hot. I say this every year at a time. Oh dear. Okay, what are we on? 1 minute two. All right, start in a sec. I still haven't done my public live. So, I'll do it this week, and a week passed. And I might talk about that actually. I might talk about time. Shall I? Okay, so welcome and hi to those who watch after. Excuse me, it's just like it's about 35 degrees in my house. I am Maddie. So saying it's unstable again. I rang Orange this week. Hi Cameron, I rang Orange this week and said my internet's slow. They said they'd fixed it and I'm still getting this unstable connection. Am I stable? Just give me a thumbs up, that would be great. Hi Wayne, am I all right? Or am I sounding like a robot? Look okay? Okay, good. So, thank you. Thank you. Oh, it's funny because there's things I want to talk about, but because they're so amorphous, it's difficult to find the language for it. So I'll start by saying that the word real, reality, always looking for reality. But the origin of the word reality is the Latin word realis. Realis means relating to things. It's interesting, huh? It's got nothing to do with what's real. There's no actual word for what is real. There's only words for relating to, because all words relate to. And what we're talking about here is not relating to anything. There's nothing wrong with things relating to. My hand is relating to this cup as I drink some tea. My hand is in relationship to the cup. Or I'm relating to you through words in some way. There's no actual words for reality. Words describe things. Words cannot describe just what is. They cannot describe just being here. That is all relation or reality or realis. And funnily, I was reading this week just a few things about a guy called Jean Baudrillard. Don't know if you've heard of him. He's a philosopher, and he talks about hyperreality. How that the world we live in now, and I think he's from the last century actually, middle to late last century, I think. Can't remember. I can't remember. Facts are no good. Not great with facts. But Jean Baudrillard was talking about hyperreality and how the world is now so full of constructs, mental constructs, that we can't tell what is real and what isn't real. So basically society is, I think he was a sociologist actually, that's not a philosopher, a sociologist. And how we can't tell what's real anymore. I guess in the classical way we use the word real, not the Latin word realis, in the way we use real, I'd say the only real thing in that way is just sitting here. And that's not even real, is it? Because I'm not relating to anything. I'm just sitting here and I'm not relating to, there's no relationship. So I'm not in the confines of constructs. Most people live in constructs, in pockets of reality, pockets of relationship to concepts. Into pockets of concepts, beliefs, structures that I've got kind of out of control in a way. Social media is a classic example. Everyone's arguing their point. You know. They're all in reality, in relationship to things. They think the things are real, and the things are actually really not real because they come and go. Nothing stays. And we relate to time in the same way. We think time is real, or most people do, that time is real. But it's relationship to concepts, to thought, to constructs. It's another form of hyperreality, where the construct is so imbued in society that we think it's real. I remember being 6. Now, can we find the time, the time gap? Not really, we can't. We can't find it because it's not really there. There's just a relationship to the story of it. But the actual stream of time is not there anymore. It's like that, and yet it feels like another lifetime ago, and yet doesn't all at once. It hasn't actually moved. Nothing's actually moved. We just live in a hyper reality. I really like that concept. I thought it was really cool. I only looked at brief parts of it. I haven't read any of his books because they're probably very heady. Excuse me. So I think most of the discontentment of people is the reality, is the relationship between things, how we relate to things as being real. But there's no reality in it, there's just relationship. And relationship always happens in the moment, but the mind can go to it as if it's something that's true. And we all know that nothing's true because nothing remains. Not even this body will remain eventually. This is a temporary phenomenon that doesn't seem to have anything, go back to being stable, anything stable about it. But there's no relationship anymore. It's the end of stability. But that's a freedom, and it's a beauty, and it's beautiful. It's really mind-boggling. The mind can't wrap itself around the lack of relationship. We relate by thinking something is true, but then next week it'll be something else which is true. You'll probably notice, I mean, I don't watch the media, but I sometimes listen to people talk about the media. And the media will, once something stops causing fear in people, they will change the story to something else. They keep changing the story, and it's been the same story in essence forever. This is a bad thing that's happening, be afraid. And it seems to be ramping up, you may have noticed. Like, really, they're really going for it. But in my experience of being here, apart from being locked in my house for 2 months, a couple of years ago, I can't see anything. There's nothing actually really happening. There's nothing happening. It's all just stories. These are the concepts which we tend to think is real. And like a concept of, say, a past relationship and how we think that's real. It's a relationship to a story, but it's not real. It has no reality, because there is no reality in things, in appearances. There's just being here, whatever that means. And I have certain theories that come and go, that I'm interested in, about what this construct is. But it's beside the point, really, because I'll never really get to an answer about that. I might do, but I might not, because I don't know. You can't look in on it from the outside. But what is for sure is that relationship is the source of suffering. But we are so attached to relationship, we can't imagine life without it. The attachment to things. The attachment to things is, and people and stories and concepts, is the source of suffering. All of it, I think. It's really very hard to quite know what to do about it. I see there's not many people here tonight. I guess because the weather's been good, but people are out enjoying the weather, which I don't blame them. I can't go out and enjoy the weather here because it's too hot. It's like so ironic, you know. My family in the Alabama crave hot weather, and here it's too hot. You can't go out in it. It's like about 42 degrees outside right now. It's not comfortable at all. So I think that when I started doing these talks, and I started off, it's going to be hot here this week. All right, really? Enjoy. But it won't be 42 degrees though. 44 yesterday. So I think when I started doing these talks, it was quite a while ago. What happened was I saw the unreality of my relationships to my story. My story was false. It was a pocket of concepts that I seemed to believe in and thought was myself. And that's not the end of me, even though I thought it was at the time. But it's not. What it is the end of a pocket of concepts, a pocket of beliefs, which I had believed to be true, but none of it was true. There is no end of the person, because there is neither a person or a no person. There's just being here. There's just being here. It has to have a person or a no person is another form of relationship, and it's just another form of relating to a concept which doesn't exist. It's just another concept, another construct that's been made up, and it might seem to be fitting with a feeling, but still it's a concept. A person didn't fall away here. It was just the end of a belief system which had been indoctrinated probably at birth, probably as soon as I had interaction with other human beings. And that whole story was my relationship to everything around me. And it was all conceptual. My relationship to people, my relationship to things, my relationship to my future, my past, all a pocket of reality. I'm saying this in the real sense, as in the realist sense. A pocket of relation. Etymology of media, if I recall, is a spell. Like cast a spell to induce a certain reality. Yes. Etymology of media, if I thought it was a spell. Media. Or like a medium. Like a medium. You know those clairvoyant types? Media. It's really interesting. I might look that up, actually. Not right now, but. To spell is to cast a spell. To talk in terms of relationship is a spell. Yeah, medium. Yeah. I've never put those two together. That's brilliant. We cast spells over each other by talking about our story as if it's real. We talk about the world as if it's real. We talk about stories that have been cast on us through the media, through the spellcasters, and we talk to each other as if it's real. I bumped into somebody, I don't really know him, he's a friend of my neighbour. I was walking her dogs, and I bumped into him. We went for a coffee, and whether you believe in this story or not is irrelevant. It doesn't really matter. It's just an example, right? So we were sat having coffee, and he said, "Have you got any hand sanitizer on you?" And I said, "No, I don't. I don't use hand sanitizer. I just don't stick my hands in my mouth. I'm out picking up dog poo, you know." And he said, "Well, I really need some hand sanitizer because of Omicron 5. I was like, "Oh, okay, Omicron 5. And I knew he'd heard this from the media. He must have, because there's no other avenue for it to come about. Whether it's true or not, I don't believe a word that comes out of the media, because, well, yeah, they're all spellcasters. I don't believe a word that comes out of them, because I don't really believe a word that comes out of any of this place, in a sense. Because the only thing is sitting on this chair. And I like this sentence here, to induce a certain reality. And, the word realis, a certain relationship to something of the spell that they're casting. What I try to really avoid in any way, and that might fail sometimes, and that's okay, you know, no one is infallible. I try to avoid casting spells. I really feel like what I'm interested in is breaking spells. Breaking the spell that have been cast over us and we've taken on as real. It seems that relationship with everything just has to end on its own. Yes, it does. It does. But also I would say that when we think about it intelligently, because we are intelligent, and we think about it intelligently, there's a possibility of seeing through something. I wouldn't have seen through some of the things I saw through without the help of a man called Barry Long. I would not have been able to. And I don't even know if Barry Long is real, but that interaction, whatever it was that seemed to go on, seemed to break the spell that I had, especially about relationships, particularly about that, and many other things like that. And the other spell I had cast over me was that I just didn't, I was just very insecure. But yes, they do come to an end on their own. But I also think that we have intelligence. And when we look at things, we can see through them. You know, we're not done yet post. We can actually use the intelligence. Intelligence is beautiful. Not cleverness. Not cleverness. Cleverness is just stuff, more stuff, information, retaining information, being clever with it. Intelligence is that innate sense of genius, intuition. The most beautiful thing we have is intuition, where we just go, oh yeah. You just know, you just see it, you just know it. It's like when you meet someone, your first feeling is always the right one about them. But you get this doubt, oh, maybe they, but your first feeling is always the right one. You are simply driven by that, really, by that intuition. Yeah, I'm simply driven by intuition. I don't try to work anything out. Though I like to use my intelligence. But in a more intuitive way, in a more creative way, just to look at something and go, just to look at it. I mentioned that is the difference between you and I. There's no difference between you and I. You just think there is. Your life, just like I'm life. Maybe you just have some spells cast over you. I'm driven by the story. Yeah, but something isn't though, is it? Something isn't, because if you were, you would not be interested in this subject. You would not. Your intuition tells you, you know that your story is the problem. You know it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to say it. It'd be impossible to say, I am driven by the story, if you didn't know that the story was just a story. You already know it. And yes, it still drives the bus. Yeah, yeah, until it won't. As Cameron says, it'll have an end of its own. It'll just end. As I was talking about, I was talking about Barry earlier. Barry said, you just keep banging your head against the wall until you don't. You see, I think that you already know. I can see you know. I can see. You would not be interested in this otherwise. Yeah, my head's badly bruised. Yeah, I used to have a really badly bruised head as well. I probably had a massive, sort of psychic bruise on my forehead for years. Sorry, my fan is making a wobbly noise. Not do it. I think the story is an add-on, which we get into. It doesn't feel like it drives us. Yeah, yeah. It's like living in a reality bubble. That's what it's like. It's not. Yeah, I mean, I understand what Johara is by it drives her. It's like living in a, what do they call it? Virtual reality. Think of a time when you were a teenager. Like everyone's been a teenager, and everyone knows the hell being a teenager. Think of that time and that whole reality that we seem to be in. Now, was it driving us? Or was it like some sort of weird, like, reality box that we seem to live in? And then moved on to another one. I'm mesmerized by my story at times. I'm not. I couldn't give a shit about Lisa. The story of Lisa, well, what was, is so boring and tiresome and tedious and small. And this is not to criticize you, by the way. I don't know if your story's small. I don't know. But I can only talk about the story that was here. That was my story. It had no. It was small. That's all I can say. It was like a little world. It's like a little gremlin living in my little world. Lol, tell me about it. I know, right? I was like a little gremlin in my little virtual reality. My story, what they said to me, and what I wish I'd said to them, and oh, why do they think this, and blah blah. God damn it, it was just tiresome. Tiresome. I have no goddamn interest in my story, the media's story, anyone's bloody story. Like you say when the Queen of England talked to you. There are moments. The only stories I'm interested in now from my past are the funny ones. Not the little naggy, little small, little gremlin stories. The ones that are humorous, possibly humorous. Might not be humorous to someone who's a fan of the Queen. They might go, you traitor. That's right. Hang me for treason. The story gave me nothing. Nothing. It didn't go anywhere. It didn't do anything. It didn't add value to my existence. It didn't make me feel good. It didn't give me peace. In fact, it did all the opposite of all those things. And the whole time it was just a story. It was never real. No story is real. There's only just sitting here. And that's not real either. It's actual, but you can't say it's real because it has no permanence. Only what is real, only what is permanent can have any reality, say. But there is nothing permanent. Only thing that has ever remained. Yes, it feels like nothing. Yeah, it feels like nothing. Not the nothing that, you know, the non-dualists talk about. It's nothing that can be put into a relationship. Nothing that can be related to. It just is. It just is. It is just is. Being is just being. It doesn't feel like anything. Which is so, that's what's so discombobulating for the mind, for the story, because the story wants to make sense of it, to add to its story. And it's another relationship, you see, like let's say the story about becoming, the story about getting this, which is an impossibility because there is nothing to get. There's just sitting there. You can't get that. If you can't own it, you can't achieve it. So that story about getting this or becoming is just another aspect of the virtual reality of the story of my life. It's just about things. Thoughts are things. Objects are things. It's all things. You can't achieve just being because you already are being. You already are that. Fundamentally, there's just being here. The story of other, better, next, and more. Always, always. It's always of other. But you see that story, and I can see that you see this, that story is in that bubble. But to the mind, it feels real. This feels real. The relationship feels real. It's a hyper-reality. I like that description, a hyper-reality. What was his description? It's when, maybe the words, we wouldn't use his words, but his words were something like, it's when consciousness cannot distinguish between what is real and what is concept. I think what he means by what is real, as in just simply being here without any reference points. That's what I got from it. I don't know. That's what it means, but I got from it to distinguish what is real, what is, without any reference to anything, and a concept, the story of other, the story of the world even. Everybody's so obsessed with the world right now. I mean, even more so than 5 years ago. I've never seen anything like it. Nobody can talk about anything else apart from what was on the news. I mean, I can't even talk to people anymore because all they want to talk about what was on the news. It's like I don't give a shit what was on the news. I couldn't care less what was on the news. Because it's all crap anyway. Absolute garbage. None of it's true. Because it's not here. It's not just here. Here is where it's just here is here. That's it. There's no problem. There's no trying, no wanting. No wanting to get anything. No wanting to be better. That's all just the story, all of it. The story of Future World is absolutely exhausting and petty. I'm sorry. The story of last year, 10 years, 20 years ago is exhausting and petty, and yet it feels so real and so important. It's me, it's mine. Don't you dare question how important my story from 25 years ago is. How dare you? But it's not here. It's not here. It's like mind just hangs on to it as if it's true. Here is where life is, just being life. There's nothing to do. There's nothing you can do. I'm thinking about changing my life in a dramatic way. It's just an inspiration, an intuition, a feeling. I just thought, maybe I can do this. I made the mistake I'm not going to say what it is, but I made the mistake of talking to other people about it. And I shouldn't have. Except maybe one or two. Because there was all this, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So we're not going to do anything. I'm not going to make any decisions or anything. It'll just flow like water. The inspiration comes, what becomes, oh, I really think that this would be fun or good or interesting or adventurous. And up it comes like a fountain of something, creativity. And then I make this silly mistake of talking to somebody who says the words can't, and shouldn't, and how, why. all the words that made me go, don't need a how, or a can't, or a should, or a shouldn't. Don't need it. Life takes care of itself all the time. It's only here, and life is taking care of it. I never have to make any decisions. Well, what are you going to do? Well, I'm not going to do anything. How are you going to do it? I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to let it all unfold. If it unfolds, how it unfolds, I don't know. Just whatever. Never make a decision. Should I, shouldn't I? Because you just don't know. Because there's no future. Yes. Yeah. I never made a decision to come to Spain. It was just like, oh, I think I'll move. Where shall I go? Sounds like someone's parents fidgeted to them. They weren't. My mum was interesting. She was a bit, but she said, well, it's in the lap of the gods. Yeah. But they were all right, actually. Yeah. They know not to say shouldn't and can't to me. So what do you mean shouldn't? I don't know what's going to happen next moment, or tomorrow, or next week. Just take the chance, Take the chance. Leap into the void like a crazy person. Maybe, or maybe not. Who knows? You never know what's going to happen. I could be dead tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes anyway. When I die, I die. When this body dies, it dies. It'll be now when it dies. Not tomorrow, not next year. It'll be now. And that's not worth thinking about. Though I'm going to contradict myself and say I love thinking about death. Could be dead now. Who knows? Who knows what this is? I don't know if this is life or death. It just is. It's wonderfully free and yet so challenging as well. So challenging. But I love to play the game, the game of life. Remember that hideous board game, the game of life? The most boring board game in the world. I used to play it and think, is this life? Is this defined as life? Can't really define life. Can't define what is, as I said earlier. It's just nothing. And yet it is. And it's the only thing that is. All the things, they are too. They change. They change all the time. Every moment. Constantly. And yet we try to control it. With should I, shouldn't I, can I, can't I? What if? It's talking to a friend the other day. We're looking at some tarot and I said the Fool's one of my favourite cards. I relate to the Fool. I relate to the Fool and the Hermit. And the Emperor a bit. The Fool. Because the Fool just runs along with a balloon or a flag and just walks off the cliff with a smile on his face. The inspiration that came. Will I or won't I? I don't know. It's not up to me. I don't make decisions. Mind tries to control violently. Intuition can just pull it along gently. Actually, you don't really need to do anything. You literally don't need to do anything. Because anything you think you can or can't do makes no difference. I used to think I could do things. Things happen, of course. But just like the Fool, I just run along with the balloon and step off the edge and see what happens. Freeform. It's so terrifying for the controlling mind, isn't it? It's like, what's going to happen when I step off the cliff? Well, nothing. Nothing. How will I earn money? Who knows? I might go bankrupt in a moment. I haven't tried to earn money for years. I do some work that earns some money, but I It doesn't, I don't have a job for years and years. Just seems to happen. I sell a painting and I seem to need the money. It's like it's completely not up to me. It's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. But this place is fascinating. It's free and wild. And it's all, it feels like, because I don't have any definitive answers at all in any regard. Thank God. It feels like I'm just temporarily visiting or something. I'm just a visitor. I don't know if that's true. It feels like it sometimes. Wow. And it's brief, right? It's brief. For all of us who are like, past the half century maybe, or even younger, doesn't really matter. How brief is it? And yet how incredibly infinite and eternal is it? It's like it's never not been. And yet this experience is a blink of an eye. Can't make sense of it, any of it. There's no point making sense of any of it. Because sense is just relationship. I definitely live a better life. Now I realise that I have no freaking control over anything. I can maybe put things in motion, but whether they come to fruition, I don't know. Doesn't really matter. The only thing that really matters is I'm not suffering in the way that I used to suffer. It's the only thing. I know all those suffering was from a story which wasn't true. All of it. It's that simple. It's that simple. It's like this. It's like you get your first realization that Father Christmas isn't real. And then you get the second realization that never was my life. The life I thought it was. Intuition can just pull it along gently. Yeah, I see what you're saying by that. It's more of a in the moment thing. Like when you're in that moment where you think, oh, I'd really like to go for a walk in the forest. Just comes out of nowhere. Oof. Whether you go or not, it doesn't matter. Intuition just, shall I have this cake or this cake? It's just going to be, you're not even going to have to make a decision. You just go with what is. You just go with it. Just go with it. You go with it anyway. except for the torture of the mind, but that's not real. What are those boxes on the wall behind you beneath the birdies? Light switches. For some reason, Spain loves huge light switches. Both. Yeah, you see, then you can go for both, right? Just go, oh, fuck it, I'll just have both. The big light switches are quite handy, actually, because when you're carrying things, you just kind of nudge it with your elbow. After, like, you know, they're very, very easy. They're quite good, actually. Quite good. I did. I did. Yeah. I've got a few things around the house I painted on walls. I've got a huge tree out the back that I painted on walls with birds in them. I do, yeah, I do. It's huge for me. I have 4 rooms, 4 bedrooms. I only use one. And one for my studio. Yeah, it's a beautiful house. Do you know if I can see if I can show you what it looks like? Hang on. Let's have a look. Let's get over here. See? There's my cat. And some of my artwork. And yeah. It's my kitchen. And there's my courtyard. And up here is my upstairs. Yeah, the red couch, yeah. I bought that secondhand off a very posh lady. I actually bought it in England. And it's the designer bespoke couch. It cost me £200. It cost her thousands. And she went, oh, yes, well, this is too big for my apartment. I have to get rid of it. And I'm like, I'll take it. Like literally forcing the cash in her hand. Yeah, I'll take it. But it's just such a massive couch. It's hard to move around. Yeah. Yeah, I did ship it. Crazy. I won't do that again. That's a fortune. Yeah. Yeah, the house is huge for me. My cat has his own room. Sleeps in the spare room in the afternoons. Thanks. Thanks. Yeah. It's hot though, it's very hot. It's very hot in the summer, very cold in the winter. So it's classic Spanish house. No TV. Thank you. Property is actually really cheap here in Spain. I think I paid 70,000 for it. That's euros, not pounds. Yeah, I know, right? I know. 4-bedroom house. Well, it's not 4, it's 2 bedrooms upstairs. I've got a massive roof terrace and a balcony at my bedroom. And at the back, it's got a one up, one down extra building, which is the other 2 rooms. It's massive. Maybe, not sure. Don't know. I just feel like I need something. I don't know. I feel a shift in the ether. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I just feel it. You know, you feel something. I don't know. I'm gonna see what happens. I have the same feeling. I get the same feeling in different. Something's about to change. It's like something in the wind. Let's say. You know that feeling? It's not feeling. It's more of a sense. A sense. You smell it on the wind. Something's gonna shift. Maybe. Oh, off-grid guys. Yeah, yeah. Fascinating. Yeah, yeah. I like the idea of it, but I'm way too lazy. I think I'd need a manly man in my life for that. Do all the hammering and sawing. Digging. That'd be great food. Yeah. Beautiful. Yes, we're conditioned to not feel, to push it down, then we lose contact with intuition. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's like we're completely distracted through the story. Just like a always off in it. Whew. It just snaps you into it all the time. We lose contact with that more sort of intuitive, creative sense. You know, trusting your gut, trusting your gut, like the sense of like the shifting of the winds. It's just to feel sad or angry is bad. It's wrong. Yeah, yeah. I mean, try not when the moment takes you. Try not to feel sad if you something makes you sad. Nothing wrong with the feelings that come up, but just this the storifying of them. I shouldn't feel angry, or I should feel angry, or I shouldn't feel sad, or I should feel sad. Why don't I feel sad, or why do I feel sad, or is this a hindrance on my path to freedom? Freedom is, always is. It's just so simple. Yeah, right? Yeah, yeah. So I think the last time I felt sad or angry. Exasperation, I think, was the last feeling I had with my parents. Exasperation. But the strongest feeling I've had for a while was exasperation. And it's just, hey, exasperation. I was exasperated. Do you need a hug? Yeah. I didn't hug my exasperation. I was just exasperated. And then I wasn't exasperated. And I didn't make any deal out of it. It just was what it was. And no judgment about it. There's no trying to change it or analyze it or judge it. It was just bloody exasperating. And that's okay. Kind of funny too. Yeah. Yeah. Exasperating, you know, the only way that only parents can make you exasperated. It just doesn't matter, you see, because it's a thing, and things come and go. Things come and go. None of it really matters. Not for one's sense of just peace. Just peace. Peace doesn't look like anything. It doesn't look like someone sitting on a rock meditating. It doesn't look like anything. It just is. It just is. And as Maddie said earlier, it doesn't feel. Well, she said, it feels like nothing. It just doesn't feel like anything. It just is. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go. The whole way through it, my YouTube says that I'm unstable, and maybe they're right. I wrote to a friend and I said, if anyone would look inside my head, they'd lock me up. I think if anyone looked inside any of our heads, they'd lock us all up. Oh, thanks, guys. And I'm not sure if it's Skype next week. I've lost track of the number of weeks we're on. Oh no, not next week. The week after. Okay. Thanks for joining, guys. Have a lovely week. Lots of love. Bye.